Hey everyone, welcome back to Miniature Painting 101, a series of videos where I teach you all about painting miniatures from start to finish and everything in between. And this is going to be part 54, painting red gemstones, or gems, on miniatures that have them, such as Eldar models. Now, I must begin this tutorial by stating, before we begin, I know that this one is very similar to the previous one. That being said, after the previous episode, a Warp subscriber contacted me and asked me to make a miniature painting 101 on red, blue, and yellow gemstones. And first of all, since I do pride myself on taking any request from viewers, second, I do think it's a great idea to stop and make several videos on the same topic. That way, a viewer doesn't necessarily have to decipher their own colors. They can look at the technique and learn the colors in one video. And third, there's going to be tons of Miniature Painting 101 episodes in the future, so I don't mind stopping on a topic and covering it in depth and doing multiple colors. For example, I think that many videos in the future are going to be dedicated to some type of freehand, so I don't mind covering the same topic in various circumstances. So all that being said, I decided it'd be a great idea to accept the challenge by the subscriber, plus it is a Warp subscriber. So I decided to take the subscriber's suggestion and make a video on red, blue, and yellow gemstones. So this one is going to be on red and the next two are going to be on the other two colors. So I apologize for the repetition, but I do really want to convey each one in its own lesson. That way the viewer can actually just pick up on a single one and actually go to a certain video depending on whatever color gemstone they want. So that being said, let's get started on this week's Miniature Painting 101. So this week's Miniature Painting 101 will focus on red gemstones on this Dark Reaper model from the Eldar range, who has plenty of gemstones. And once again, we'll be using a 5-color scheme. We'll be using a ABADDON black as the base color. And then we'll be doing MEPHISTON red, Evil Sunz Scarlet, Wild Rider red, and White Scars. And we're using all these slightly thinned down, of course, to get a nice blend of colors, and I'll be showing you how. So we'll start off with our ABADDON black, and we're just going to put a little in our palette. And of course, we're going to thin it down because we want to get a nice thin consistency. We don't want to obscure the details or leave it too chalky or clunky to paint on the gemstones. We don't want them to show brush strokes. So it's a good thing to always thin down your paints, and I'm going to do this for all my paints today. Thin it down with a little bit of thinner and get a nice thin consistency. And then I'm just going to paint black on all the gemstones that I want to paint. Now, obviously this model has tons of gemstones, and you don't have to paint all of them when painting a miniature. I'm just going to paint a large portion of them to show the angle in which you want to paint them, and that way tons of repetition is always good in a tutorial. And as I mentioned, you just want to go and get a nice thin coat over each gemstone, cover the whole gemstone entirely. And that's the first step when painting reds, because this will represent, the black is going to give a good base color, and it's also going to represent the part that's not red on the gemstone. This is the most times I've ever had to say gemstone in a tutorial. Gemstone. And just make sure to get them all covered. And the next part, you're going to have to consider where the light source is going to hit the miniature. We're going to use MEPHISTON red as the base color for the reds. And as I said, you got to decide what angle we're going to go from above on the model itself, and just in the part of the gun, we're going to go from a slight upward right angle. And that you have to decide before starting to paint the colors on the gemstones, and we'll discuss why. So now what we're going to do is we're going to leave a small oval in the corner of the gemstone, reflecting where the light source is hitting it. So in this case, if the light source is hitting it from directly above, you leave an oval at the very top part of the circle above. But in this case, on the gun, is going from the top right, so we're going to leave an oval in the top right corner of black. Now this MEPHISTON red will dry slightly darker, and because it's thinned down, it will blend slightly better with the black than what it shows when we're putting it on. But as you can see, I'm leaving the top right portion of these gemstones black and leaving that oval in the top right portion. And then the ones that are directly from above that the light source is hitting, I'm going to leave the top part of that oval. Such as this one right here. As you can see, the top part is going to be that dark black oval. And if you find yourself painting too much of it, obviously you can go back later with some black and cleaning it up. And as you see here, it's coming from the source of light is going to come from above, so we're going to leave the above part, the black oval. And that's all essentially you're doing when painting the gemstones, is you just want to have a consistent source of lighting where it's coming from, and we'll continue it that way. So next we're going to use the next color of red in the set of reds that we're going to use, Evil SUNZ Scarlet, which is a good mid-tone red. And what we're going to do is we're going to start at the base of the gemstone and work our way towards the black area, but we're going to leave a good section of that MEPHISTON red. And because we're going to thin down this paint as well, it will blend quite nicely. So we're going to build up strong tones near the base of the gemstone and have a nice gradient from lights at the bottom to the black with the white dot at the other end. So once again, obviously leave a nice section of MEPHISTON red, and we'll start at the bottom and just paint towards the black area. And with each step, obviously, you need to use less and less paint and draw less and less paint on your brush. As you can see, just that one, I only had to load my brush one time to basically paint all of the gemstones on this miniature. And then we're going to repeat this process with Wild Rider Red, which is a kind of an orangey red, and just paint the very base of each gemstone. Once again, it does not take very much paint. I did not load much at all onto my brush, and one loading basically paints all of the gemstones in this brush, and I'm using a very small brush. Obviously, these are very small gemstones as well. And take that into consideration when I'm doing this tutorial, is that the camera is at such a high depth that the eyes, this will blend much nicer with just your eyes seeing them than this camera, because it's zoomed in so much on such a small detail. But these small details really make these things pop. And now we'll use the final color, White Scars. And all we're going to do is paint a tiny white dot in the same corner as the black oval. So if the black oval is in the top right corner, we're going to paint a white dot in the top right corner of the oval. And just the key part with this is to take your time and do very controlled tiny dots with your brush. And now when painting these white circles, I like to always prop up my elbows and get a nice strong arm going. That way I can do very precise dots and just make sure, as I said, so if the light source is hitting from above, these white dots are essentially the reflections of light off the gem, giving it that shiny quality. And this is essentially what brings the gem to life. These little dots are the icing on the cake, and they really just, that one little step that really goes a mile with these tiny details. And that's it. So now this guy's going to be completely done painted, and as you can see, it doesn't take me very long. I just had to make sure to, I did have to reload my brush, because with this little paint, it does tend to dry out very quickly on your brush. And that's it. So now it's completely done, and the gems are looking awesome, and they will give this miniature tons of life. They really do just make the details really pop. So, thank you so much for watching this episode of Miniature Painting 101. And stay tuned for part 55, which is just around the corner next week as always. But if you can't wait for part 55 next week, check out the Warp. Click on the link for a free 14-day trial to my premium YouTube channel, where not only will you get to see the next 6 months worth of Miniature Painting 101 episodes, you'll get to see dozens upon dozens of start to finish painting tutorials, battle reports, airbrush series, and just some awesome wargaming content. So go ahead and check out the Warp. I think you'll love it. So thank you as always for watching. Until next time, this is Jay saying, happy painting, everyone.